Hey, I'm Marcus and I'm playing Crusader Kings 3. Again, after a bit of a hiatus. Last time, or I ended half a year ago, playing or trying to play a campaign in southern Italy with Bohemond of Tarento. It didn't work out quite for me. At the time, I probably should have done a little pause after I played the first campaign. I was a little bit burned out anyway. And I think I played this character with a definite goal in mind, and yeah, I think that doesn't work out in the context of CK3, where it's very random, sandboxy, and so on. So my first campaign, I played the Weather in Denmark, and during the campaign that lasted about 100 years, they rose from being counts to actual kings in the end, so that was quite satisfying. But I started out with just having some motivations and not some goals, and I'm going to do that this time again. Going to focus on Aquitaine. And yeah, before I begin, just some quick notes. First of all, what is my style of play, what I'm trying to do here? I'm trying to do a roleplay approach. So I am actually trying to impersonate the character to a degree, judging by his traits, but also trying to put this in a historical context and picking up some medieval themes, cultural, religious, and so on, that would make sense, at least in my view, for the character. You can judge yourself if I'm doing okay or not in the end. And while I'm doing this, as you can see, I am playing with mods. Lots of UI mods, obviously, as you can see. Chief of all, the Better Textures 3.0 mod that I'm using because I like the realism, right? Looks a bit more realistic than the vanilla map. But I'm also using lots and lots of mechanical mods that I will introduce and talk about a little once they come into play. So we're getting into that then. We are playing in Aquitaine. And to be more precise, we are playing in Angoulême, and we are playing Count Taillefer. Now, before I get to him and talk about who he is, I'd like to just briefly talk about Aquitaine and its history, so that we know, like, where are we here, what is the current political situation here, and so on. Aquitaine stems from a Roman province of the same name, Aquitania. That was a province very early on in the Roman Empire. Conquered, of course, before in the late Republican stage by Caesar. And in the Roman Empire, it was quite rich land, right? Definitely, having lots of trade, having lots of produce, especially wine. We all know the Romans love their wine. As does everyone, I guess. And so this province was quite rich. Also profited from the Pax Romana for quite some time, until we see the crumbling empire in the 5th century, going into the 6th century. And that's when the Romans start appeasing the Germanic tribes by giving them land. Or making them foederati, as that was called. So they are settling the Visigoths in this area. And so now we have this transition from Roman to Germanic rule. Obviously, with the further decline of the empire, they become more and more autonomous. And then we have, when the Romans are finally losing power and the empire is definitely gone, we have clashes, right, between the Germanic tribes themselves. We have clashes between the Visigoths here and the Franks here. The Visigoths, of course, are more prominent for their rule in Spain, and that's where they definitely did rule for a longer time, but they were driven out of Aquitaine by the Franks. And when that happens, we see the emergence of dukes, right? So we would have Frankish dukes in this area here, and they are quite powerful. And yeah, there's constant tension then with other Frankish dukedoms and kingdoms and so on. But they become quite famous then in the 7th and 8th century, when we see the empire, or I would call it an empire, the empire of the Umayyads, appearing here in Spain, coming from Morocco, of course. And they did some large organized raids into the Frankish territory north of the Pyrenees. And that's when the dukes here are becoming famous for their military prowess and defending their lands against those raids. But not without having to ask further Frankish support. That's where we get the infamous Charles Martel, ancestor of Charlemagne, and the Battle of Tours and everything. Don't need to tell you about this, you would know that. So then the Frankish rule from the north becomes more dominant, and we see Aquitaine integrated into what would then become the Frankish Empire later, the Holy Roman Empire, but that's much later. They continue to be dukes here. We see new dukes emerging from Poitiers. They are still in rule at this point, as we can see here, Guillaume VIII of the House of Poitiers. But the ducal rule is gradually declining a little. They would still be called the overlords of this region, but the local counts become more important, especially when the Vikings start to attack. And that really is when our player character, his dynasty, really comes into play. In the 9th century, where an ancestor of Fulk who was called Guillaume, he was a local chieftain of this area, probably Count or Viscount in Angoulême, and he battled raiding Vikings and supposedly managed to hew his sword so powerfully that he actually pierced a Viking chieftain's mail armor and cut the flesh beneath. So that was something that people at the time thought was quite extraordinary. And so they called that guy Guillaume Taillefer, which is literally meaning iron cutter, or cutting with iron. So that's where that name comes from, quite evocative. So I thought that was quite cool. So now we have all these powerful counts, and that means strife, right? That means competition. We can have a look at the counts in the area in a moment. Just want to finish this up. So all of this strife, of course, is a bit detrimental for the people around here, for the normal people. So there is also a different movement coming, and that is one of church reform, which is called the Peace of God movement in this area, where the church is trying to protect ordinary people from any kinds of feuds between these noble houses and so on. That is very, very important also because Aquitaine, as you can see, obviously lies between Spain and northern France, and there are routes from up here that go further south and then further west, and those systems of roads would be called the Via Turonensis, so the way that goes through Tours, and that pathway leads directly to Santiago de Compostela here. And that, of course, was the kind of like third major pilgrimage site in the Middle Ages, which would see a lot of, I was about to say tourists, a lot of pilgrims coming through that road here, up north and south and so on, bringing a lot of tax, but also in need of protection, of course, and so on. Oh yeah, by the way, there is something that does bug me a little, and that is that Angoulême here is actually on a river, on the riverside as well. We have the Garonne, we have the Dordogne here, but there's the river Charente that comes from the north and goes down here. That Angoulême lies on, and that would, that's very much important for their trading, as well as the Via Turunensis. So we are very much in the middle of things, and this is the situation we currently have. Ducal power is still there, but more in a symbolic way. We have lots and lots of very powerful local counts with lineages, with already established lineages, and those would be, as I said, the Taillefer, but those would also be the Périgord, the Limoges, and then up here the La Marche dynasty, and up here we have Lusignan. Right, so these are all established families that have been here for ages, and that's kind of the political framework we're now working in, trying to balance things, but also being there to say, hey, we are here to rule, and we're not going anywhere. Now, going forward, we are playing Folk, as I said, and there's the question of how do we play him. And he has quite interesting traits that kind of work weirdly together, but they work together, or at least in my interpretation. Folk is lustful, callous, and honest. Now, what do we make of that? Being lustful, obviously, is being interested in the sins of the flesh, as medieval people would say. I always interpret this also in a broader sense, meaning he has a hedonistic tendency. He loves to appreciate the nice things in life, but it definitely has this carnal component. Then he is callous, and that is interesting in combination here, because callousness means that he is kind of ruthless, cold-hearted. He doesn't form affections easily or at all, so quite devoid of any feeling, really. So how does that mash together? Well, he would be hedonistic and everything, but he's not seeking a love, right? He's not really seeking somewhat of a soulmate of sorts, right? We won't do romances and so on with him. He's really just interested in the act, and that has a more transactional quality for him, as does other things as well. He is honest then, and that's now very interesting in combination with those two. Being honest in that regard, to me, means that he's open about what he's doing. He won't go and have secret lovers behind his wife's back, or as much as we can portray this mechanically, of course. He would be open about this. He would tell her, hey, by the way, I'm sleeping with that woman there. And he would do so without any regrets. That is his callousness in the end, right? Honest and callous for me means he's blunt. Blunt to a fault. He has the tendency to rub people the wrong way, but now there's another exception. He's a charismatic negotiator. He is able to get away with it. Not by talking his way out of things, but by sheer authority. And this way of saying it is as it is, you take it, you can possibly, or you can try to leave it, but I don't know, as a wife you're bound to me, right? As a vassal you're bound to me, and I am the overlord in here. When we look into his lifestyle, we can see that definitely is reflected in his the path of perks that he's already acquired, and that is the August trade path, where we see things such as inspiring rule, a life of glory, all of these things that would show you that he is very much about representation, and building up this appearance that stands for something, that stands for power and might and so on. Which is why we'll also pick the majesty focus here. That makes most sense to me. Now, some people would argue that, hey, the August path is not the best if you're just playing a count. And that makes sense. It's most of these perks here are better equipped for a king or a duke. So anyone with lots of vassals. But it's okay for me. To me, that means he's punching a bit above his weight, and he's managing it to a degree, right? He's about to have the August trade here. That's going to be really, really cool. And that's the path that he has taken in life. Now, let's have a closer look at his family. We have his wife, Kündo. And interestingly, she is Norman. She is of House Deux and of the Normandy dynasty, so quite reputable. And she is the daughter of that guy here, Robert, and he is the brother of the current count. Now, the current count does not have a wife, does not have children, is 40 years old. Of course, we know the game. He's likely to marry soon and then eventually probably will have children. But if that does not happen and he dies early for whatever reason, then Robert here is likely to take over. Or if he is dead at the time, one of his children will. And his children, interestingly enough, of course, we have the oldest Kündo, that is our wife. But the rest of her siblings are, funnily enough, at our court. As you can see here, Ralph II at our court. Then William at our court, Robert at our court, and young Hamburger also at our court. That's quite interesting. That's not usual in Secret 3, right? So what do we make of this? And then we see that Folk has a sister, Humberge, and Humberge is married to Artema de Limoges, so from the county of Limousin, who is in a weirdly similar setup, the brother of the count, and the count is not married and doesn't have children and is 40 years old. So it's kind of the same setup. He, of course, will marry, might have children, and so on. But if that's not the case, that guy is going to inherit. And now her children, again, funnily enough, are all at our court. Oldest daughter, younger daughter, and then her son, our nephew. Which means, in the end, if we look at the courtiers, they, almost solely consist of our family and then the families of our sister and our wife. They are all here. Now, how did that happen? In my head canon, this means, or bring this together with all of his traits here, is that he is about like bringing people to his court, fostering them, but then also wants to profit of them, wants to use them in a certain way that is profitable for him. I mean, we can see in a second why that can, or how that can be profitable. That is, for example, through marriages. Like right now, we have the control, let's say, over Emmeline, who's not married at this point. We can marry her off. And even though she's not of our house, since Folk would be the broker of that marriage, he would actually gain an alliance through that. Now, we can't do that with Marie, who's already married to this guy here, Occitan Knight, Ebel de Ventadour, kind of obscure house, but at least with some lineage, and even House Normandy in here, right? So, okay. Reputable to a degree, but the guy here is quite useless. So he's not at our court, that's okay, but she is, and she is our spy master. That's quite interesting. We're coming back to that in a second. So, that's our family setup so far. Oh yeah, forgot about the brother. Forgot about Geoffroy. Look at him. Gregarious, gluttonous, fickle. I think he kind of wants to be us. He wants to be his older brother, but doesn't quite manage it. And I don't know. we had this example in the Wii the playthrough, where in the beginning of the game there was also a younger brother and he was quite useless. He comes close to also being useless, but he has his uses, I guess, and he's currently the Chancellor. That's fine. He's also unmarried, as we see. Going to pick that up in a moment too. Now, I'm going to settle some internal affairs here before we go to the external. So going on and setting up the game. There are some things that you always do when you begin. For example, you would pass limited crown authority, and that is something he definitely would do. I don't think he would be someone to go into the higher areas here. As we can see here, he has little stewardship. He is not someone to put direct control over something, not someone to micromanage things, but rather he's someone who puts other people in positions of power and then expects them to work for him and do his bidding, right? But then they will have room to do as they please. But we are going here, we're saying pass the law of limited crown authority. That's something that we do. Other things that you always do at the start, for example, is when you look in here, you have stuff like petition the king. In that case, it's petitioning the duke. I have a mod installed where dukes are also treated like kings, right? They have a ducal court and so on. That is, I think, being reflective of their importance. The Duke of Aquitaine would have his own court, quite, living almost like a royal person. So I put the check here to get notified when I can do this. Also put a check on train for tournament, mostly so I can see when tournaments are actually happening. On the map, not sure if he would actually train for tournaments. Well, I'm not sure that's his forte. But we'll see when that happens. Now, getting to the court and the court setup. Already told you that we mainly have other people's families at our court. That's a plus and a negative. Like I said, they are in line to inherit, right? Adema here is in line to inherit. And if he does, or for example, if his father becomes the Count of Limousin, they will all leave our court. They will go to him at his court back here. So they are just gone, and our court is a little smaller. And the same thing, of course, works for our wives' siblings. That's that's just the way it is. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. And there's just a small chance that they might actually stay at our court. Now, but these guys have their uses, and while they are here, we're going to profit of them, right? That's definitely what he wants to do. So a guy like William here, who's quite capable in his opinion, right? A brave man with the martial education to actually be able to rule and raise armies and lead them and so on. He would be a perfect marshal. Now, we have someone in this place, and that is a mayor. Now, I know it's CK3 and they want to keep this as simple as possible, but mayors were not a thing in 11th century Aquitaine, or generally in Europe at the time, because you would not have these kind of independent citizens of independent towns, but rather this would be a town here, Cognac. Oh, that's the Cognac, by the way, where the drink is produced. So that's a funny tidbit. He would be a bailiff of sorts and very much invested by by folk. Like not being voted for by the citizens of Cognac. That's not happening. So he is under our control. And I've thought about how to represent this kind of rule that he has. When I was playing the Wii, I always said, we are actually in Northern Europe. Things work out differently. This is not as feudal, not as, medieval, chivalric, and so on as we think. But here we are inside of Aquitaine. and here is where feudal lords rule and so on. So there's a bit of a different framework. And thinking about this, I thought that actually being lowborn in this position is something that folk likes to have lowborn who do one specific job. So he can also get rid of them easily, right? When they don't do their job or they are not good at that, he would just take them out. Now, this Eve here, he would theoretically be okay. Being content is always great, right? In a vassal, they don't have ambitions and so on. That being said, he is a wastrel. He's not very good at stewardship, and that would mainly be what we want in a mayor, or in that case, a bailiff. He also fancies himself a knight, which is a term that would not be around at this time. Term commonly used at that point would be a miles or milites in plural, so just armed soldier, but with the ability to pick up arms and so on, and I don't want that. Folk does not want him to pick up arms, he wants him to just do his job as bailiff. Plus, he fancies himself the marshal, and I can only think that was a lapse of reason on Folk's behalf when he agreed to that. No, he does not like it at all, and he wants to put that guy in his place. And that actually means getting rid of him. Being like, yeah, okay. You have become more than you were supposed to be. Can I even imprison him? I would not succeed, likely. Yeah, and I would lose some legitimacy also. That would be a bit harsh for me. No, I will just revoke his title and send him on the road. He holds a grudge. That is something that folk couldn't care less about. He really does not care what other people think or feel. So now the marshal position here is up for grabs, and we will pass it on to William. And since we're in peacetime, he can go and train commanders. Now, we obviously need someone to rule Cognac. I could, of course, say a local Occitan noble of French culture. No, that's not what I'm going to do. I sadly don't have someone lowborn in our court that could fulfill that position, but we have that guy here, Jérôme, who is actually our current steward, who is from a low noble house. So that's borderline what we want, but it's at this point in time the thing that works best. So we can pass that title to him, and now make sure that he definitely knows his place. And I guess I can already go to the knight screen here and definitely say that he's forbidden to pick up arms. He is supposed to be a steward, doing the administration for Cognac, not doing anything else. And while I'm here, I guess I could also say that no, our bishop should never be able to pick up arms too. And Artema down here with a prowess of 0. He's only likely to hurt himself, right? So to not have him accidentally become a knight at some point, I will just forbid him to. He's kind of a soft boy, is he? Forgiving, temperate, also a bit of a wastrel. We don't like that. He is diligent, though, so he at least tries. Tries, though he doesn't have the means. That's unfortunate for him. While I'm here, we can see that our deux brothers-in-law are knights. That's fine. Our brother is supposed to serve as a knight too, even if he is the chancellor. I guess in wartime, he would have to pick up arms. That's totally fine. Then we have this Ralph guy here. And he's the oldest of the brothers. So actually currently the third in line to inherit the county of Eu. I don't think that folk finds him suitable in that position. Being honest is fine, but he's eccentric, and that's never a good thing. He's also a thinker, insightful thinker, so he's much of a learned man. Club-footed, which is not good when it comes to represent that, warrior part. I guess that's one of the things he would do, taking direct actions to shape these families that come into touch with him. And I think he will just ask him to take the vows. which he would. Obviously, lose piety, which is a currency that I'll be lacking in, but I'll do it anyway. So there we go. He is going to the church, and staying there. Then, we have the ability to create an accolade. I will not do that at this point. I will always wait for something to emerge, a knight that really distinguishes himself, and so on, to do that. So then, by the way, our military. I have nerfed the military quite a bit in the rules. So we would have less levies, less men-at-arms, and less knights, right? So also limited knights. Just to keep it a bit, realistic, or let's say not overblown when it comes to combat and having thousands of people running around the map and so on. I kind of don't like that. So in that scenario here, there's more importance actually on the men-at-arms that we have, more importance on the knights that we have, and we're going to see how that plays out. So still at our court, we have a look at maybe the council again before we start. Geoffroy here as chancellor is fine. Giraud now as mayor / bailiff is fine. Collecting taxes or investing in development. I guess folk would be a bit short-sighted when it comes to that. So collecting tax is fine. He's more interested in having cash now than preparing for the long term, having a bit more cash in the end. Then Marie here is disrupting schemes. Yeah, that's basically what she'll be doing all the time. He's not someone to pick up schemes. Maybe that would be the perfect time to talk about his wife, because she's quite different from him. Quite the opposite. Where he's lustful and but all about appreciating his hedonistic side and maybe being a bit classy about it. She's gluttonous and she's just eating everything without caring for her dignity when she does. He is callous but detached, and she is sadistic, so it means cruel. And I think he does not get behind that, being so passionate about hurting other people. He does not see why that would benefit anyone. And then he is honest, he values the truth, but he also wants to seek the truth. And she's trusting and she just accepts things. He does not like her. We can see that. He has a negative opinion of her. She has a positive opinion of him. That will likely change if and once he picks up lovers. She might also kill them, and that's going to be a problem. But things are going to happen, I guess. So, yeah, she is here. He has no attachment to her, apart from her being, quite important for her rank, for her connections. But that's the only thing, really. And she is the mother of his sons, Guillaume and Gray here. And that is important for him as well. He will continue to sleep with her, but not for anything else than her availability and his need to maybe get more family. Right. I was about to check court positions because that's something else that we need. Lots of these positions I think we cannot from the get-go just pick because they are not the people here to actually be able to do this well. Thinking about these positions, I've also thought about, okay, what can a low-born person actually do? What job needs to have a high-born person? What job is eligible for a woman? What job is not? The position of seneschal would be eligible for noble men, and they would be important, very, very important, because the seneschal is somewhat of the right hand of the ruler. They're organizing the court, organizing the administration of the realm, though I guess in CK3 sense that is somewhat divided between steward and marshal, so yeah, it's not quite that important in that regard. And I would say it needs to be a male person. We don't have a male person that can do the job really well, but we have our sister here that's also at our court. And in this case, I think it would be fine to appoint her. She's very close to us, being the sister, of course. She is a Taillefer that gives her this natural authority inside of Angoulême, so she can portray this role. And I will have her organize the court. That works totally fine for me. Instead of saying managing domain, that is something I would only have her do in extreme circumstances. That's what she would do. Organizing the court, seeing that it works. Now, for anything else here, I think, Ralph would be a good tutor. I will wait for him to actually become a monk before doing that, because I think a clerical person in that position is very fitting. Very, very fitting, or a noble woman of high repute, of high social standing, that would be able to teach children, basic etiquette and so on. Wet nurse would be fine. We don't have anyone suited for this position. And for that position, I would only like to pick low-born women. Or maybe noble women, but then very, very low nobles. Like with low lineage and so on. So it looks a bit empty right now, but we're going to fill this up. I could actually say that as a caravan master, I could put Artema in this position. This should definitely be a man. You need to be outside. You need to, organize travel and so on. That would traditionally not be something that a woman would do. They would always be responsible for the house and the household and setting that up. So it's fitting to put him in this position instead of his sister. And I think Folk would take this as an opportunity for Artema to learn organizing people, right? To grow in this position, which is nicely reflected in the improve skills option, right? So he's able to grow. Become a man. We need you to become a man, Artema. I could actually go and see if we can bring other people to court. I have the Travelers mod installed, and that not only kind of dictates that every movement on the map must be via travel, so there's little teleporting people from A to Z, but rather if, for example, if someone at court marries a person from outside, that person would then have to travel here, making it a bit more juicy, because obviously people can die on the road. But then the Travelers mod also comes with this option here, invite characters to court. And here we see these three lowborn people that are, banging at our doorstep. This is actually not a cheat of some kind. These people, these characters would be here in vanilla as well. And I would be able to recruit them to my court without paying for it, but I would not see them. Or I had to go for very distinct searches in order to be able to pick them up. But they would be people that really just would come to my court without having to pay for it, so that's great. This guy here, Charles, for example, he is good in prowess, so that makes him a good warrior. Also a hunter, a faithful blade. It's probably not something that we very much care for, but at least we can get behind the concept. Misguided warrior, yeah, but he is good, right? As a fighter, he is capable. And that would be something that we would value when we bring a lowborn guy to court. He would have his uses. He could serve as a knight, and only as a knight, right? Nothing else. We're going to pick him up and say, okay, you can come to my court. Let's say, who else do we have here? Louis. That guy is terrible. Disloyal. Obese already, gluttonous, and vengeful. It's not the greatest combination. But he is just, right? I guess that kind of softens the vengeful part to a degree, like a righteous antagonist, yeah. When it comes to character personality, let me just check. Very vengeful, okay. extremely driven to go after rivals. All right. But he's very honorable. Can safely be trusted to keep secrets, follow laws, and so on. But then he's also disloyal. But I guess we would not be able to figure out that he's disloyal until we've seen it. And again, he is very, very good in prowess. So I'm going to pick him up as well. He's just going to be someone sitting at the low table. And being there as an enforcer if we need one. Then we have this woman here, Agnes, a young woman of 18 years. Probably not having that much uses at court. But, as I just said, when it comes to a wet nurse, we would want someone lowborn that can act in that regard. And she probably fit the bill. So, that is our court setup so far. I think I've done everything that I wanted. Alright, I could actually look into educating the current children at court. As we can see, we have Omburger here, who's already 15, so there's not that much to educate anymore. But she would like to, or she goes into a stewardship direction, which, makes her a perfect fit for our sister. No, not converting culture. She's Norman, that's quite fine. There we go. Then, who else was here? Soberana della Panus. Like, who is that? This would be a courtier from a low noble family that is somewhat of a lady in waiting. So she's raised at court to become a noble lady. And that pretty much puts her in the care of our wife. No, that's not our wife. Where is she? I thought she was in here. Countess Kundo. Alright, she's really bad actually in intrigue, even though she's an intricate web weaver. Interesting, but I don't care. That's the best constellation here. This Soberana here is her lady in waiting, so she's responsible for teaching her things and so on. Now there's the matter of our sons, and they are not at the watershed of 6 years yet. But I kind of, if I can manage to do it, because I'm likely to forget about these things, maybe I will tag them, and maybe that will tell me sometimes more about their age and so on and stuff. Because in that medieval education system, quote unquote, kids would have been brought up by women exclusively, right? So our Guillaume here at this point would have been nurtured by a woman at court. And we could pick one, and that might as well either be our wife or the sister, right? That makes most sense. I guess for now, can pick the wife. That makes most sense, really. Maybe the other child here, Grai, could be then in the current hands of the sister. There we go. And I will change this once they get older. Probably at the watershed mark at 6. And then we will see who will be responsible for their upbringing. Oh, now we've done that. Now we do the what's surrounding us and where do we fit in this duchy. This is Guillaume the 8th of Aquitaine, of House Poitiers. Cynical, trusting, wrathful, that's all not things that we like about a ruler, I guess. Being passionate about, anger and so on, not something he likes. Trusting, we already said that he does not like that. Cynical, I guess he can get behind the idea of someone being cynical, but it doesn't make for good quality in a ruler. Now, since he is... Well, as you can see, I've also nerfed the domain holdings, by the way. You can have much less domain holdings in my game. So he will need to distribute lands in a moment, and that will be interesting. But we want to interact with him. I think currently we don't hold a position at court. That is something we definitely want to change. So we'll look out for that. He does have younger sisters. Now, one of them is actually the Empress Mother of the Holy Roman Empire, so the mother of Henry IV. And she would have been this very, very important character, actually. I think these traits don't do her justice at all. Very, very important person in the Reich, very powerful, standing behind her son, who would have quite the trouble getting rid of her, actually, because she would meddle in his politics constantly. And even like the nobles in the Reich were trying to tear him away from her in several schemes. So quite important character here. Obviously unmarried, but already 40. Hard to do anything with her because she's in that position here. But then he has a younger sister as well, Beatrice, who's also already 39 and was never married, actually. So she lived like some kind of quote-unquote nun, even though she isn't one. But she's like zealous and humble and so on. Also callous, conscientious scribe, bad learning, so maybe she was even rejected as a nun. Always had been unmarried. Now, that is something that our good folk would have picked up. And since he knows that his brother is unmarried as well, this marriage here would be very good for him, giving him an alliance with Guilhem, which also means that Guilhem can't do any nefarious things towards us, and that's quite important because Angoulême here is actually the supposed ducal seat of power, right? That's where we get the duchy building and so on. Not sure if the AI can use that decision to move the duchy building. We'll see if that's going to happen. But for now, this kind of secures that he will not be able to revoke this county from us by any means. Brings us closer to that family, of course. It's very prestigious, as we can see, not only for him, but for us as well. We gain the alliance. And that's something we're going to propose, and he's going to agree. That's great. Then I have other people here that I would like to marry off. There's Emmeline, for example. And now we come to another thing that I like to do in these medieval roleplay scenarios. And that is when it comes to marriage, CK3 is way more lenient than the Middle Ages actually were. Especially at that time. It kind of is, it gets a bit lax in the 12th century and so on. But at this point, there would be this rule that you can't even marry your cousin of the 4th or 5th degree, which is quite harsh. You would be able to do that nowadays, right? But in the medieval days, you were not able to do that. That being said, it would be quite tedious for me to establish whether or not someone is someone else's 5th cousin. So I will take an easier approach, which also reflects that we have much less nobility, of course, than in real life. So be quite hard to find any suitable match if we take that route. But what I will do is, I will say there has to be a minimum of 7 links between both marriage candidates. And what that means is I will go through their lineage and see if they connect. And if there's less than 7 links between them, they will not be able to marry. And that comes already into play. So because initially I thought, hey, Emmeline, she could marry the Count of Périgord, or she could, obviously not her direct cousins here in Limousin, but maybe she could marry Adalbert here of La Marche. And then, when you have a look, for example, at Aldebert here, you can see how it works. Aldebert's father was Boson, so that's 1 link. Boson's mother was Arcelina, and you can already see, of House Limoges. That's 2 links. Arcelina here had a brother Guy, that's 3 links. Guy had a son Artema, that's 4 links. Artema as a son is also called Artema, 5 links. And then he has a daughter, Emmeline, 6 links. So yeah, that's 6, not 7. So not able to marry the Count of Périgord. Same with him, I counted that as well. Also 6 links, that's not working. I tried something else. I tried looking outside, maybe these guys here in Anjou. And then I found out that actually Folk's grandmother comes from Anjou. So yeah, that's not going to work either. In the end, I found this guy here. Emery of Montaigu, House Thouars. And yeah, it matches. he matches the part. So yeah, marrying her to him. I have this mod installed where marriages look for compatibility and if people are actually liking each other and whether or not it's more likely that they have children. If Folk was another kind of ruler, he would be looking out for that too. But for him, Emmeline here is a pawn. She is someone, a piece on this board game that he's playing, and she is just to be moved in a certain direction to give him something. And as we can see, that something is an alliance with someone of superior strength, right? So by brokering this marriage, he is able to gain an alliance in that direction here. Also, Montaigu currently is just a vassal of the king, but it's highly likely that the king is going to grant that vassalage to the Duke of Aquitaine, because he also is not only the Duke of Aquitaine, but the Duke of Poitiers as well, and of Gascony. And Poitiers is, as you can see, the Jura lands are here, and that covers these lands. Alright, that's 2 marriages in. The third one is coming up, and that is looking for a good match for our son. Now, I have looked around extensively, and I do that beforehand, because if I just do that in-game here, it will just be countless minutes of me running through possible matches and so on, and counting these kind of links. And that's not entertaining at all, I think. So I will always do that between sessions, if I can. And what I found was, I said before that we are at the Via Turonensis, so we are quite southern bound, right? We are looking to Spain a lot. Obviously to northern France as well, but also to Spain. And I actually saw that Duke Ramon Berenguer, who is the Duke of Barcelona. Well, historically he would have been the Count of Barcelona, but a mighty count, and yeah, it's fitting that CK3 would call him a Duke in that sense. He has children, and one of his children, or the youngest one, is Sancha. Not betrothed to anyone. Yeah, she has a stutter, she's already wrathful. Again, he does not care about that. He just cares about bringing someone important into this family, having that prestige also for his son. Now, her mother is actually of the House La Marche, so that's interesting. But I have counted, and that's exactly 7 links in this case. So we're good. We're actually good in this case. So Sancha can be betrothed to our oldest Guillaume. There we go. He is obviously vastly superior in strength to us. Normal betrothal, can't really go for a grand wedding, that would be much too expensive. Maybe we can see at the time how much gold we have. But yeah, he is going to accept that as well. That is great. And now we will have, we'll be very secure in both inside and outside of the Duchy of Aquitaine when it comes to our position, and it would reflect back on us positively. Anything else that I can do before I start? Of course. Stationing a man-at-arms regiment is something we can do. There. Then, yeah, we are not employing a physician. I'm not going to look for one because it's going to be expensive. We might just see and maybe pick someone up from the side of the road. Who knows? Ademar is not the best caravan master. I know. Nothing I want to do about that now. Geoffroy can be married. Yes, we talked about that. Oh yeah, and then we have this one. I have one of the forbidden mods installed. The one that's not, one of those that's not in the Steam workshop, but on the naughty website of Lovers Lab. And that is the Canalitas mod and some of its derivatives. I like that mod because it adds more functionality to how love and sex and these things work in the game. Brings some more mechanics to that, but also some more decisions and things. And I just like the way it plays out. As you can see here, he can make love to his wife. He can. I said before, availability. So whenever he does, he's likely to lose some stress. As you can see, he's not very stressed right now. He will gain stress for his arousal, though. That is part of the mod. And that's, I think, really fitting for him, right? He needs, that's his major outlet for stress relief in the end. So we'll see. He does not particularly like, I guess, lying with her. But again, yeah, he will do that if he thinks he wants it or needs it. So that's going to happen. Now, before we begin the game, let me just quickly look. Oh yeah, I have the mod installed where you can customize your family, but we don't need that because we already have one. We could establish house traditions, that's another mod, but I would always like to see how the game plays out before I do that, so that we get a direction here. I guess I could put it away for the moment. Yeah, we can pay homage and we can petition the king. It's always best to pay homage first. I don't like that you can just do it all together, like in the same go, but rather I now have to go back and forth twice in order to get what I want. I guess it's fine. I pay 50 prestige, that's okay. We do have some prestige to spare. And we demonstrate submission. Right, there we go. Could actually say that this is part of the whole brokering the marriage between Beatrice and Geoffroy. So yeah, start traveling. And we are an hour in and we are finally playing. That's just me. Sorry for that. Oh yeah, Agnes has joined our court. That's nice. Servants usher me into Duke Guillem's great hall in Saint-Tong, where he sits on his throne. They don't fix that error. I think I have to report it at some point. Where he sits on his throne waiting to hear my pledge. I kneel at the feet of my lord and pledge the many oaths of homage as his scribes record the event. With that, the ceremony is complete. I have nothing to offer my duke except my promise to faithfully serve as vassal of the duchy. Well, that should be enough. That is quite good, actually. He's great, isn't he? Guillem bids me to arise and confirms his satisfaction along with my rights to the lands I rule in his stead. There go, we gain some renown. That's really, really good. There we go. Marriage is set. In headcanon, I don't like to think that this just happened instantaneously, but rather all of these marriages that we just brokered, that was deals that happened over time. Right, maybe his efforts over the past 10 years and so on. So maybe they just finally come to fruition. All right, there we go. She is now at our court. We have an alliance formed with him. Our Ralph here is agreeing. Oh yeah, there's so many things happening at the same time now, right? That's the marriage proposal between Guillaume and Sancha. That's good. And Ralph here has actually now gone to the court of, or semi-gone to that court. I don't like that mechanic in CK3 because he is actually still part of my court. And I can actually, there we go, grant him a court position, in that case tutor. Right? So let's just say in headcanon he is still part of our court. Maybe he's just like traveling also to other courts as well. And while he is our tutor, yeah, I guess educating the children would be a good thing to do. Now we could also, have Agnes here as the wet nurse. There we go. When it comes to what she would do, promoting friendship, instill virtue, no, I don't think he would do that. Friendship would be good in a sense that he wants his children to work together. At the same time, encouraging competition would also be something he would do. He does not want them to become, people that rely on intrigue, but rather that can, be their own man and not depend on others. I guess we will do that for now. So there we are. Do have a little bit of a setup here that works for us. Let's see. We're going back. Oh yes, thank God I can go inside again. Now, Louis and Dewey have joined our court. Oh yeah, there's Toir. There's that marriage. Excellent. There we go. Anything else we want to do here? No, we don't do that right now. While I'm at it, let's just pin the Duke as well. Also, maybe let's pin the important counts to our left and right, the ones that are important when it comes to interacting with them. There we are. I guess, could I not still have an alliance with him? Oh yeah, obviously. Now that I have that many alliances, people are being suspicious of us, right? So it's like, if I grant you another alliance, you might have ambitions and you might just call me in all of these wars that I don't want to be part of. Anyway, how are we in terms of... Yeah, that's quite an indifference. That's actually a slight positive. More or less indifferent. Lusignan. That's also interesting. That guy here is called the Devil. Even though he's content and craven, deceitful, I guess that's part of the devil. He's, he's very much of a pathetic devil, I would say. Maybe that should be his name. The pathetic devil. I guess that's what you get when you give people their historical cognomen, but then randomize their traits. Right? Definitely should have different traits. There we are. I mean, we could just go for a bit and then we can see what else we can do. Actually waiting for something to happen, and that is exactly this event here. Another mod that I've installed kind of enhances normal weddings that take place, so that you get more out of them too. And in this case, we have a wedding celebration, right? Having had the opportunity to attend the wedding of my brother Geoffroy and Beatrice, I learned much about the relationship of the couple. After the ceremony, the feast and celebration lasted into the night. As the entertainment came to an end, and it was at last time to leave, it could not help but be noticed that throughout the evening, Geoffroy and Beatrice appeared to revel in each other's company. Hello. Sharing jokes and laughing the night away. Though few marry for love, Geoffroy and Beatrice perhaps live at least to be good friends. Well, that's a nice thing for them. Upon departing, the newlyweds were left to their new life together. And now I'm able to just say, I'm sending them a message to congratulate them, or I will plan a feast, and I think that is a very good idea. Because when you do that, you actually... you pay less for it, and that's quite good. And we are planning this feast. We will obviously do that in Angoulême, which is also good because we have base cost location. Location has manor houses, right? We are on a farmland, which is actually quite the most exquisite forms of land types. So that's quite good for us. It will only cost us $27, and we can honor Geoffroy as the betrothed, and then we can pick an honorary guest, and I guess we would pick Guilhem, right? That makes total sense for us. When it comes to extended family that does not do anything, we could actually invite neighboring rulers. I guess since it is an important wedding between the daughter of the Duke, and we consider ourselves to be obviously the most important count in the whole of Aquitaine, it would make sense to reach out. So, yeah, King Sancho of Castile would actually come. That's interesting. So, yeah, let's have a go at it and see if actually some of them show up. That being said, should I tweak this a little? Dish complexity, number of courses. I could actually make it... Yeah. Opinion gain. But at the same time, it will grow exponentially more expensive, and we don't have that much gold. So, no, let's keep it at that. That being said, is there someone we could seduce while we're at it? Yeah, no, I don't think he would go after Beatrice, not because she is his brother's wife. I think he would actually find that quite enticing. Kind of putting his brother in his place too, being like, hey, you're still my brother, I can take from you whatever I want. So, but yeah, let's do this. Agnes here, our wet nurse. And we all know that wet nurses perform better when they have children of their own. And since we don't allow her to marry because she's lowborn, I just might have a little fling. Nothing serious, but just checking her out, right? As he would. As a lecherous nobleman. Start the feast. Okay. There we are. The servants run across the hall, bringing the final decorations. Some of the guests are yet to arrive, yeah, probably taking months. And I indulge myself with a delicious drink by the fire. Oh, I seem to have spotted some roast swan already. Roast swan or swan would be a privilege of the nobles at that time, and in some cases even a royal privilege. I definitely know that from England. I've actually been to the place that has been the royal swanery for quite some time, and it still is today, though they are not eaten anymore. No one eats swans at this point because swans are actually, or supposedly, disgusting. And they would just eat swan because they can. Because it's a majestic bird and you want to eat it just to show off. But it's apparently not that delicious to eat. We have a lovely time ahead of us. Yeah, we will need to wait quite a bit. Because, let's see who's actually coming. The king is not coming. Oh well, I guess that's alright. But we do have Duke Ramon of Barcelona joining us. That is great. Our future, the father-in-law of our son. There we go. What does that make him to us? Yeah, that's great. You could see that as some kind of diplomacy going on between Barcelona and Angoulême and Poitiers, Aquitaine in general. So having him come along is actually quite good. Hopefully we can see to our relationship here. Maybe that's getting a bit better through the feast. He would be quite good at this. Hosting a feast, right? Not only through his diplomacy, through his lustful side, he's enjoying this actually. So, these people don't seem to enjoy it that much. Well, yeah, I guess Geoffroy, he's alright. Gluttonous that he is. Let's see who else is here. We have lots of counts. Roselot, I think, yeah, that's also part of Barcelona. Armagnac, Bern, so people from all around Aquitaine. And coming down, there's also, of course, several minor nobles and even our knights. That's fine. They have to sit on the lower table. Down there at the Where's that? Lee is up here, yeah. It's none of our concern. But here we can see he is aroused, and that causes him stress. So I guess going into this feast, that's one of his motivations for going after the wet nurse. There we are. 7 days until it begins. He has already gotten rid of some of his counties. Might have a look into that later. The guests are gathered in the great hall, lords and ladies from the near and far reaches of the realm. So many bites to choose from. The mood is bright and spirits are high as the feast begins. Welcome, friends. Servants were carrying out impressively adorned entremets. Yeah, probably. A number of proud peacocks, skinned, cooked, and stuffed, then redressed in their magnificent plumages. That's more of a late medieval thing, right? They probably would have been simpler what they're serving here. However, as Count Guy brought his knife close to one of them, the fowl came to with a shriek. This one wasn't cooked at all. It pecked at Guy's nose before bursting forth among the screaming and laughing guests. As the bird ran wild, Duke Guillaume rose to the challenge. It proved great entertainment to see him desperately chase the raving creature across tables. In the end, he managed to scare the peacock towards the great hall doors, where it escaped into the night. Okay, someone was pulling a prank here. For whatever reason, that makes me more healthy. I guess I won't complain. Although I don't like that someone is pulling a prank at my party. And I haven't been told in advance about it. Sitting opposite my wet nurse, Agnes provides me with a veritable treasure trove of ways to tease her without breaking the rules of propriety. Not that he would care too much. With a hearty yet languid lick, I collect a heavy mouthful of the sauce coating my portion of chicken. We maintain eye contact the entire time. I can see from the look on her face that Agnes gets my message. What I can't quite discern is her expression. Is that lascivious interest? Yeah, that's definitely the look of lascivious interest. Or a tumbling stomach. It's alarmingly difficult to say. Hammer it home, this isn't working. Yeah, I guess, well, he is callous, and I guess we could say that it's difficult for him to interpret people in that way. But yeah, being a negotiator, I think he would be able to interpret the look on people's faces. She does not look very, very impressed by this. So maybe instead of slurping on the sauce, we try, prefer honest talk. Why? Oh yeah, that's giving us stress because we're lustful. But that's our personality. We will just flat up tell her, hey, I'm interested in you. And here's what's gonna happen. Yeah, that conversation proved more interesting. After days and nights of joyous company, my feast is soon going to be over. Most every guest seems to be pleased, except perhaps Guy, who's still clutching his nose where the peacock marked him. He's even wounded from this. Oh god. We should do this more often. Yeah, can't have enough people being pecked by swans. What do we have here? After eating next to each other for a while, I must have said something particularly intelligent because Count Adalbert complimented me on how clever I was. In response, I smile intelligently back at my fellow scholar before I get occupied with the grease running down my chin. Not sure that was actually a compliment because he's quite unlearned and he is a mastermind philosopher. That might have actually been... let's check. It's one of these where... No. Hard to get to the tooltip. Scholarly confidence learning -1. Yeah, he was poking fun at us and we just didn't understand. Oh. Poor folk. Being judged for his low learning. Oh, the wine. Oh no. The wine has gone bad, and the feast is still raging, but without drink, the mood is sure to dwindle at a cruel pace. I guess we could go to town and buy some more wine, but is that really worth it when it comes to the fact that 50 gold equals, I don't know, 3 years of income for us? So maybe we pitch in, and that will be alright too. So as far as I can see, we were not able to get on with our wet nurse. The feast is starting to draw to a close, and my visitors are surely expecting me to lavish a little attention on Duke Guilhem, our esteemed guest of honor. Traditionally, a complimentary toast and a deep drink of wine does the trick. Then again, all Guilhem did was turn up. This feast was my idea, paid for everything, and I hosted everyone. Well, that's a stupid thought progression there, because we invited Guilhem to be the guest of honor. So yeah, of course we're going to toast him, leveraging his prestige, but also ours in turn. Few candles survive after most of the guests have left. I see servants bringing gifts to my honored guest Geoffroy and his spouse. I walk to them smiling. What a pleasure it was to have you with us, and may St. Joseph bring good tidings upon you both. Finishing our exchange, I turn away. Soon, word of how I celebrated Geoffroy and Beatrice will spread through every corner, to every corner of the realm, and every noble will know how well the couple was honored by this feast. With all my guests leaving my castle with the entire contents of my vast pantry in their bellies, I am proud to say that the feast was a success. Nevertheless, I am still grateful that the endeavor is over for now. And with that, I sent them on their way. Alright, as we can see, we gained some legitimacy, that's always good. Lose some stress on the way, yeah. Oh, wine, ale, and fine food. What better relief from the troubles of the world as is there than a night of revelry? As each feast ends, I find myself planning the next. We gain the trait if we want. There we go. And I guess we will take it, because it makes sense for his character, right? That's exactly his kind of lustfulness too. So yeah, okay. He's now an eager reveler. There we are. Gain some prestige as well. And I think what I'm going to do now, and I haven't mentioned that so far, there's a bit of a, I would say it's a bug, or it was not intended by the developers, I think. But you might have already seen that, and that is that folk is actually French in culture, not Occitan. Where everything else here, and I guess we could just highlight that on the map. There we go, cultures. Everyone else here is Occitan. So that is, yeah, quite an anomaly. And it's not only him. When you have a look here at Guy, he's also French. Adalbert is also French. Don't know. Oh yeah, Adalbert Périgord, he's at least Occitan. But yeah, we would be Occitan. This is a very established family that has been here for centuries at this point. So that does not make much sense to me. I guess trying to make a roleplay sense of this, maybe Folk or his father and so on were brought up by his grandmother, who was in Anjou. Maybe they were even brought up here in Anjou itself. Maybe that was the case, right? Maybe that's where he also has this idea from of fostering other nobles, right? Bring them to his court in order to, yeah, educate them the way he wants and use them in the end. But there is this decision that we can use here, convert to local culture. Damn it. Just gonna cause me some prestige loss, but I think I'm going to do it. Huh? Where is it now? Convert to local culture, there. We will adopt the Occitan culture, still being able to speak French, of course. And yeah, we'll just take it. Again, that would be the final result of a process that took years and years and years. There we go. We speak French and Occitan, so the oil, I never know how to pronounce that with the I and the 2 dots up. That always means that you have to pronounce it separately. So oil, yeah, I don't know. It's French and Occitan. So when we pick our court education languages, that's another mod thing, can pick that one, I think, as the primary language, because that would be now his thing. He says, or in his mind, French is the language that should be spoken at court. And then Occitan is the one I would speak with the lowborn, I would speak outside of my court, and with Occitan nobles. But French is really our court language. Then secondary language is Occitan. Yeah, I guess our bishop here does know Latin, and that's a nice thing to pass around as well, because we also have a tutor that is part of the clergy. Okay, confirm. Anything else I need to do here? Yeah, I guess he would be eligible for that position. But yeah, he's a bishop, and I don't like to have a bishop in that position. He would be very much responsible for his role here, and that would take all of his time. And yeah, would also be quite indignant for him to then, I don't know, be called upon when someone has a cough or whatever. Yeah, maybe we will see at some point we can have someone in here. Maybe if push comes to shove and we really, really have, I don't know, a bad epidemic here, we can call upon him to do that. But yeah, don't think we need that now. All right, so what I wanted to do was there we go. Why can't we petition our king? All right, because he is traveling. That makes sense. He's currently traveling back. Now he's not traveling anymore. And I guess we will just follow him. Don't see the decision now, though. There it is. Oh, quite empty is his hall, right? I want to petition him. And of course, I want a council appointment. That's, we are pretty much deserving of that. Now that we have groomed him a little, right? We have, gained that alliance. We've invited him to our feast and said he's the guest of honor and so on. He has a very positive opinion of us now, currently. And we're going to use that in order to gain a council appointment. So there we go, we start traveling. Yeah, fresh start, I can't wait. It's always the same thing. Like, we'll be gone for like 6 days. This is not a big thing. This is not the biggest thing. There we go. I'm escorted into Duke Guillem's throne room, where he beckons for me to approach and address him. I elucidate the abilities, proven and otherwise, that make me a suitable candidate to be the Duke's marshal. Requesting the position as his advisor. I certainly can't do any worse than Count Emery. Why am I going for marshal? I thought I was going for chancellor. Anyway, I'll take any position, I guess. After listening to the speech, he smiles warmly at me and states, "Absolutely, vassal. I shall dispatch my agents immediately to take care of this matter." Thank you. We see we gain some more renown. Count Emery, who is actually our ally, is not pleased by that. And we are the marshal now. I thought we would go for chancellorship, but yeah, I guess we are the marshal now. All right. That is a bit of a tricky situation, because when he goes to war, it is likely that he's going to make us... Oh no, he's actually not bad in martial, but he could make us lead armies in war. That's something to remember, to have in the back of our heads. Alright, by the way, since at the feast it didn't work out, how about we try now? There we go. 16 stress. Because we're honest, right? Again, that's not how I'm going to interpret this. I'm going to be, or he is going to be very open about this. And let's see how we can reflect that through all the events in that particular event tree here to seduce her. Oh yeah, see, that's why I did that, in order to be able to see when tournaments are happening. Where is that tournament actually? Oh, it's the Pope! Oh no, we won't be able to be there in time. Oh, that's a bummer. What if we go by sea? October, August, nah. We won't be able to do that too. No. Not working, sadly. Okay. Oh, that would have been a grand occasion. Yeah. But again, yeah, training for a tournament, is that something that he would do? I guess now that he's supposed to be a marshal, I guess we could. And that means training with William II. And then you turn to the right, William yells, while dealing a powerful blow to my sword that makes me take a couple of steps back. They won't go gentle on you in the tourney, my lord, he says, drying the sweat from his forehead. If you want to win, you can't afford to lose. Not even to me, not even once. Uarg. And I actually increase my prowess. That's great. I'll take it. I will gladly take that. Let's see. 9 prowess now. Being the marshal gives +2. Alright. There we go. What use of those long hours in literary recital and studious years as a scholar's understudy if I can't muster enough diplomatic mettle to sway Agnes? That's a weird question he wouldn't ask himself. I'm well aware of the power of an eloquent compliment. Showing admiration for a woman's best quality is a sure path to her heart. I shall write a letter to Agnes. Write a letter? No, we're not going to interpret this as writing her a letter. This would be a direct conversation at court. Alright, okay, this is where we compliment her. Yeah. Yeah, probably not for being brave. Yeah, forgiving nature. Based on how well it suits her beauty. I think that's something he would just think that, like, yeah, women like flattery in his simple mind when it comes to that. That's, I guess, the thing that he does. Saying, hey, yeah, see? Works. Of course it works. Works all the time. Just say that she's pretty and that will do the trick. I'm talking from his perspective, by the way. I'm not that much of a jerk in real life, I promise. Anything else that we can or want to do? Yeah, money-wise, there's not too much we can do, actually. So we'll have to sit and wait. Let's see what's our mayor / bailiff doing here. He's doing all right. There we go. We are at 1.5 hours. I usually keep these at 2 hours. So won't stop here. We'll play on for a little bit. You do see that my style of play is very slow. Slower than most people would probably play this game. But that is because I want to take in also minor developments that otherwise I maybe would not notice. Let me just check. Our son is 6 now, so maybe that would be the time to actually remove our wife as the guardian. There we go. Oh. Now what happened, what I said could happen, happens. He's going to war. Let's see if I have to be part of that war. But before we do that, let's look at Guillaume here. Alright, yeah, he's not called Guillaume anymore. Because we are now, I guess I'm also folk. Okay, I'll still call him folk. That's alright with me. People, the Occitan people will call him that. Anyway, we have our Guillaume. And yeah, I guess when it comes to the direction that he's going into, his wife would say, she definitely wants him to be able to manipulate the court from the shadows and so on, and probably tell our folk how great he would be at that, because he already shows some promise. And I guess folk would disagree, and he would be like, no, that's not a way for a Taillefer to behave. That may be your ways, but it's definitely not mine. And he would actually, force the focus of his education to diplomacy. That's what he understands. That's what he's good at. And when it comes to his further education, let's see. I don't think I have someone suitable here. Yes, the brother. Then again, I don't think he has the best of opinions of his brother. Like, appreciates that he's there. And again, he's just been a pawn in one of his games. And, I don't think he's too pleased with how Godofrey, as he now calls himself. Not Geoffroy. Godofrey behaves in public and so on. So I would actually pick myself. Now, I think in the past that I don't like to do that because it's too much control. Maybe I won't do the directly put some of my traits on him, but rather let it come out organically. But I think this makes sense. And this would not mean that he is directly educating Guilhem, but rather he is the guardian responsible for his education. And that means, being responsible for looking for people to educate him, right? So in a broader sense. So we're going to do that. There we go. And so there's a war coming here. And that is between Guilhem and... Oh, he is actually, I guess, pressing the claim of Emery for the county of Touraine, where, my second cousin Folk sits, probably named after me, of course. That is spicy. I don't think we want to get involved in this. Let's see. I don't think I can actually opt out of disable call to arms. That's different, I think, from... let's see. Let's see what's going to happen. Maybe he will be the one to lead the army of Aquitaine. No. Yes, of course. Guilhem is doing that himself. That's great. I won't stop him. Although I don't like what's happening here. Because this is still our relative. Then again, it does make Tuar a bit stronger, and right now that is good for us, since they are now married. She still has that look on her face, like she's not enjoying what's happening. Oh, they're actually rivals. Oh, whoopsie. Let's hope she doesn't die. Okay, what do we have here? He is besieging. They are meeting on the battlefield. And I can't click on it. But I guess... Oh, wait a second. Somehow, I think folk might be able to bring this home. Yep. Interesting. Well, I guess it will just be a very short win. He won't win the whole war. Is the caravan ready to continue? I asked the passing servant boy. He shrugged, clueless to what I was talking about. Of course, he doesn't know, I thought. Still, hours to go, but I kept watching the gates for activity, be it farriers or footmen preparing the carriages. I attend the dance not simply because I am the lord of the castle, but because I want to see Agnes there. When I finally enter the dancing hall, my eyes immediately go to the vaulted roof shimmering with silk ribbons and flowers, dangling in vines that graze the heads of the taller guests. Good evening, a familiar voice said, and I looked down to find Agnes offering me a cup of sherbet. What the hell is sherbet? Sherbet? I don't know what that is. He's going to drink it, I guess. A knowing smile played at her lips, and I found myself stuttering. Restrain yourself. No. He's not telling himself that. He's telling himself, go for it. Go for it, folk. I returned a smile as confidently as I could muster. She looked so resplendent, and I quickly searched my thoughts for what I was planning. What was I going to suggest? Yeah, dancing is quite good. Walk in the garden. Food, or just, yeah, being somewhat of an asshole. No, yeah, just he will offer her to dance with him. Again, that's his direct approach to this matter. He's not, I guess now he's just dancing alone. Oh no, I thought I was sad once she agreed to dance, but even though I handled myself deftly, Agnes soon made some excuses and left me standing by myself in the middle of the hall. Yeah, she's not a person to do that, right? Being a craven and so on. Before long, she was rubbing shoulders with the other guests, and when she saw me, there were little smirks amongst the crowd as she pointed sneakily in my direction. What does that mean? Oh well, it went poorly. That's alright. There are going to be setbacks. Doesn't affect the overall success chance here. I guess that one would be quite good. Yeah, we're both honest. She has a high opinion of me. My rank is higher. We're in the same location, and so on. Nothing is going to stop this. All right. So that war is going. I'm not part of it, although Folk would be the one to organize the army. In that context, now that he's the marshal. What about my own council? Everything fine here. Yeah. Well, I guess he could marry as well, right? Robert could also marry. And then there's the matter of young Athema marrying. Oh, he's now at average. So he has kind of gained some skills. That's good. Despite your spouse's poor martial skill. Encourages chivalry. Yeah, back to that topic. Of course, Aquitaine is that origin of the idea of chivalry. But this would happen 100 years from now. So maybe there would be the early signs of this blending of that troubadour thing, you know, music, poetry, and so on. And then martial matters, but yeah, it's not fully out there. What is this? As their count, my vassals owe me their allegiance. My word is law, but how much is obedience without devotion worth? In times of crisis, a slow response or a half-hearted effort can lead to disaster. Can I afford such a risk? Oh yeah, I know what he does. Fear is an effective tool, right? From time to time he just goes to Cognac, and then is very, very hard on Giraud about everything that he does here, probably insulting him along the way. Yeah, maybe giving him a smack too. Be like, remember, you are just the guy to administrate this town, and don't think you are more than that. There he goes. Officially put in his place. Great stuff. Alright, yeah, while this is going on, I guess there's even a second battle here. That's not still... Yeah, no, that's the second battle going on, and he's losing again. I think he should have learned at this point. My family gathered at the Great Hall in Angoulême, enjoying the realm's relative peace while we feasted. Yeah, relative. My nephew Athema was unusually well behaved this evening, engaging in lively conversation. Meanwhile, my sister-in-law Beatrice was particularly cruel to the servants this evening, mocking them for even the slightest error. I guess we find that mildly entertaining, although they are our servants and she should not do that. Even so, it was good. We're all together, and that's what matters most. These are the times we will remember in the end. Isn't that nice? Alright, let's have a look. Yeah, well, he will soon be done, and then the whole war is over. Because he only needs to capture that county as Folk currently only owns that one county. So he'll be out. At least he, got some wins. There we go. 6, 5, 4. Dup, 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 dup. And we're good. There he is. Retreat, retreat. Gray leaves infancy with fluency in Dog Vulgar and Doyle Vulgar. He has not managed to learn Latin. That is okay. We don't need him to learn Latin. Also going for a diplomacy education. We don't need that for him. He is a second son, not about to inherit. So traditionally he would be... I guess I could just move that to the side for now. Go into that path here, being promised to the church. I know that CK3 handles that differently because it treats every player as a power gamer. So people that would just put their sons into church so that they have a nicer succession and can keep all of their land, right? But yeah, I don't see it that way. And I will not treat it that way. Maybe I don't even ask him to become a monk, but rather when he grows up, I could move him to a court that is religious in some kind of way. So he might become, a bishop. That means he is obviously, now that he's old enough, he's taken away from his current guardian. That was my sister. And now he's given to the care of our bishop. There we go. What do we have here? Algol, the demon star, as it is known, is currently in a most unfortuitous position in the sky. I have been warned by a number of scholars knowledgeable in the science of astrology that due to Algol's association with violence, death, and misfortune, I should be careful about engaging in any major business of a military or political nature for the time being. Okay. Other scholars, however, are uncertain whether Algol's position is actually that detrimental, and that I shouldn't act too rashly just because of Algol. These scholars are mainly defenders of Orthodox Catholicism, who are skeptical that we can discern exact meaning from stars like Algol, even if such stars may influence us as divine celestial bodies. Oh, that's a lot to take in, and I guess not something he would concern himself with, so he does not know what they are talking about. Probably has never heard of that star before. I'll take precautions, or it's true, it's hard to say. I will really just roll for this. It's a 1. So he will take the precautions, probably not because he really believes that is the case, but rather if most people at court agree that is the case, he will just go with it. Negative influence of Algol, intrigue -1, piety -0.1, advantage -2. Okay, for 10 years. Ugh. Oh well. We will take the precautions. Sorry. There we go. Agnes and I crouch side by side, the powerful bison in front of us, unaware of our presence. My own attention is unwavering, especially as Agnes's blouse brushes against me. When I reach over to embrace her, I find that she also had her attention elsewhere. As the bison disappears into the farmlands, our naked flesh is already cradled by the soft earth as well as each other. Alright, he's done it. He has done it. There's the matter of people wearing clothes here. I actually, in the other playthrough with the Weaver, I was always kind of panicky when this screen came up because people would be naked and the YouTube does not like that. But I found that setting actually, a gameplay setting where you can just say people should always wear clothes. So yeah, that's what they're doing. They are having intercourse while fully clothed, however that works, but that's just the case. Now, the matter is, does she become a regular lover of his, or is it just a one-time thing? I tend towards the latter. because I guess that would be his MO. Short time flings, just there for him to, blow off some steam. That being said, it took quite long to get here, and he might like her to be available to him in that sense. So I will just roll here again. 1 to 3 is the first option, 4 to 6 is the second one. It's a 1. So he actually keeps her as his lover. Now, I think that... Oh, let's have a look at this before I do something. Things with Agnes have been delightful so far, as befits such a new love affair. Just tonight, for instance, I'd cleared out the throne room in Angoulême, so I could play out my favorite courtier to lord scenario. Yeah, he probably likes that. And it was everything I'd hoped it would be. Yet afterwards, as the sweat on our skin was still cooling, I noticed Agnes to be a trifle reticent? Regrets, perhaps? Was I indulging my lusts too frequently? I asked as much. I'm not unhappy about our arrangement, my lord. Quite the contrary. Yet you're a married man. I can't stop thinking of Countess Kundo. Oh yeah, you should think about her. She's going to murder you, literally. If anyone should learn about us. We are only here for our own pleasure, dearie. This is nothing more, right? I'm not going to put any illusions on you. I could even say this means nothing to me. Yeah, that would work because it's also callous. But I mean, it still means something to him in a sense that, yeah, he probably likes it, right? Young and pretty, that's probably his thing. And so he just says, yeah, we are here for our own pleasure. There's nothing more to this, really. Now, what I said before is that what I wanted to portray was that he is open about these things. So he is not meeting her in secret or in front of other courtiers doing as if, like, yeah, she's not in that relationship with him. He could actually expose this, but that will come with consequences, and I'm not sure I'm ready to take those consequences yet. So maybe we will keep it hush-hush for now, and maybe if she gets pregnant or something is happening, then we will be upfront about it. For now, maybe there's just no reason to be open about it. But he would always treat it that way whenever we get an option to say so. Right, let's keep that in mind. And as you can see now, there are two options for us to make love, either to Agnes or to our wife. I think that usually we would still go to our wife. Maybe he can do that now. Some kind of reassurance for her as well. If he does not meet her regularly, she will become a bit suspicious, I guess. Or doesn't feel appreciated anymore or anything like that. And again, when she gets pregnant, we have more offspring, so that's quite nice. So, yeah, okay. He's doing that with her as well. He can manage two lovers at the same time. That's not a problem for him. There we are. All right. Let's have a quick check and see how those things are going here. Now, Guigues, as he's now known because he's also converted to Aquitaine, has married. And he does have a daughter, so she would now be the primary heir of Limousin. So that excludes him from the succession, and that means that his daughters and son are likely not to get to that throne. I guess at some point he could still do that by military means. He could just put him there as like his puppet, but there's no need to do that. He's actually quite capable. And he is allied to Bigorre, so he does have some allies who would still be stronger than him with our allies. But yeah, there's no need to do that. Just something to keep in mind. Oh no. As I patiently await the fetching of my clothes, a servant stutters, My lord, no one can find your garments. I'm surrounded by incompetence, I mutter, storming from my chamber. It is my son. It's in my son Guillem's room that I discover not only my raiments but also the boy's wetness. I had no part in it, my liege. He dressed himself. Agnes responds with a giggle. Yeah, is not amused by that, actually. He should not do such childish things. He should focus on becoming a feared lord. This is not what you do, Prince of Fashion, my ass. I don't have time for this. Get away. Yeah. Not going to appreciate any kind of random forms, like silly things like being eccentric and so on. That's definitely not something that he appreciates. Right, there's another war going, actually. Holy War for the Duchy of Pomerania. All right, France is a part of that, so that's why it's shown here. All right, courtier comes of age. Soberana de la Panus. Now, she is now eligible for marriage. And yeah, so here's the thing. I said before that lowborn at the court I'm not going to marry them off. Their job is to, be soldiers, be man-at-arms. So they're not allowed to marry. At some point I might let them go, and then they maybe can marry somewhere else. I don't much care. Then obviously nobles would be eligible for this. That being said, she is a very low noble, and these guys here all have lineage. So it would be a downgrade for them, and I guess it would not be flattering for them if I did that. Now, I don't have any other means to find a suitable match for her, and it's that mechanic that comes from another mod where she is a maiden, so that means, and we can see that down here, this young woman is from a minor noble family and has been sent to court in the hopes of finding a husband. If she does not find one, eventually she will return home. So she will be gone at some point. I don't think he likes her very much. She reminds him too much of his wife, being sadistic and so on. Also, he doesn't like laziness, probably. And yeah, impatience is also not a trait to be appreciated in people. I guess he would just look around, and let's maybe look at the Duke's court, see if he has like a low noble knight, something like that. Him here, Lucas de Béziers, right? 23 years old. He's the personal physician of Guilhem, but he's also a low noble that works. A godless villain, okay. Yeah, he would be fine with it. She would be gone from our court, which, yeah, I don't think he would be like... he would be grieving for that. He would be like, good riddance. Yeah. Send proposal. All right. Oh! Agnes is pregnant. I guess that can only mean one thing. Well, yeah. Being pregnant at court would tell everyone that she does have some kind of fling. I guess depending on how folk has acted in the past, people would think that it was him. But it might as well be that it's one of the unmarried knights at the court she's having a fling with. That might definitely be the case. Yeah, we will just keep it like that for now. Oh, there we go. Yep. Accepted. Now she's gone. The negotiator. During my afternoon stroll down the streets of Angoulême, my son Guilhem runs up to me. Father, they just started swinging at each other when... He is interrupted by a high-pitched shriek, turning our attention to the fight down the street. The combatants appear to be a couple of young lads from my court, circling each other in preparation for another tussle. I can of course break it up. I could bet on it. No, that's, even though that's the colors option here, that's not something he would do. He doesn't want to foster that kind of negative energy around here. No, but he's not going to do it himself. Again, he's not some kind of control freak. He likes to nurture people to a degree where they can do things competently, and he definitely wants his son to be competent. So he will ask his son to mediate. There we go. Yeah. Agnes has come to me, and I immediately knew why. She is with child, and there is as little doubt in her heart as in mine as to who the father is. However, with my marriage to Kundo, there is nothing I can do except hope that my involvement stays secret. Gain the trade secret. Gain the trade pregnant. Yeah, of course, that's not what I want to do, him being honest and so on. With my leave, my son Guilhem and his wet nurse parade into my chamber. Agnes poses like a herald and proclaims, "My liege, you witness a monumental occasion. Guilhem has a mighty gift to offer you." She nudges him forward. "Go ahead, Guilhem, tell him." "Father, I lost a tooth." My son proudly presents his toothless smile, handing me a pouch with the fallen tooth inside. Yeah, lovely. Gift befits a gift. I don't have time for this. I guess he would say that he doesn't have time for this. That being said, does he want to, be rude to his son all the time when it comes to this? Let me just roll for this. It's a 2. So he says, okay, that's lovely. Take that tooth as a good charm. That's all right. No need to be mean all the time. Like, being callous does not make him being a sociopath. He's just a little blunt and rude at times. But he knows how to, or he knows that he wants to nurture his son. He just won't take any of his eccentric streaks. And he will make sure to nip that in the bud. I guess we're getting close to the 2-hour mark. So, yeah. I guess nothing much has happened today, but that's alright. We've done lots of politicking, introduced the shape of the realm, and going forward, we will see, if there is going to be stability in this realm here or not. By the way, let's have a look into who actually is now the rulers in those domains that Duke Guilhem couldn't rule himself. There's that guy here, Austor of Poitiers. Another house Poitiers, just saying off Poitiers, to just show that he is from there. And he is actually very low noble. He's an up-and-comer. That's not something that people would probably like to see. Let's have a look here. Yeah, same with that guy. Thibaut of Orny. De la Roche-Lambert. Also, minor noble now being treated as a count. For us established counts here, that's kind of an insult. Right, so that's something to keep in mind. I've been informed of the goings-on at the wedding of my steward. I have been informed. I think he hasn't learned when I gave him that smack. That was actually meant to say, I am your boss, and you come to me when you want to do anything. Yet now he's married by himself. A great love story for the ages. Yes, spare me, please. I will send a message. Yeah, congratulating. I guess this would be more a message like, you did this, fine for now, but notice that I'm looking at you. I am looking at you, and I will take measures if you continue to behave autonomously. At least he has some coin now, so maybe at some point he can invest into the city. Right. Any last things? Of course, we have a bit of money right now, so that we can have a look into how we want to use that. Yeah, like I said, we could, or in between sessions, I can have a look into marrying off Adhemar and especially William here, possibly also Robert, who's not even at my court anymore, I see. Oh, I can't invite him back. I guess that's alright. Yeah, he was inconsequential anyway. Was not that good at anything. Yeah. There we go. Now he became Blade Master. Oh, Charles is a Blade Master now. Would you look at that? But we're glad we still have William because he's quite capable. Looking alright. Okay. And we've just had Christmas and the New Year. And I will end the episode by proudly taking the August perk. There we go. I gained the August trait. Now I just need to get rid of the helmet so everyone can see that I am actually in August. Oh, well, I guess if I put headwear, no headwear, then he will definitely be without any kind of headwear. But if he did not have that helmet on, you would actually see that he has this, you know, what is it called in English? It's Lorbeerkranz in German. So that kind of thing that Caesar is wearing in the Asterix comics. Anyways, Folk is here. He's in August now. That means also +1 to Marshall, right? So that helps him being a better Marshal. Always don't know how to pronounce that differently. Marshall, and Marshall. Marshall, I guess, is the pronunciation for the one with SH, AL, and Marshall is more in the Anyways, I'm going to stop it here, and I hope this was mildly entertaining for you. See you in the next episode, and yeah, bye-bye. Cheers.